Podcast.
Hello everyone, it's Ronald Johnson, Publitarian, coming at you again with another episode of Publitarian Podcast. I hope everyone had a fantabulous Labor Day weekend. I did not labor, and that's always a plus when it's Labor Day. Just hung out with the family and had good times. Good folks, good food, good fun. Food, folks, and fun. That's an old McDonald's ad. Yeah, showing my age there. Anyway, I had an interview scheduled for this week with the ever-gracious woman from America, but she had to jet to the West Coast, so we had to reschedule. So she is out there with another famous Instagrammer, Vivacious Veteran, and I will be interviewing a woman for America sometime soon, and Vivacious Veteran as well at some point. So that will be coming up in upcoming episodes. So for today, for this episode, I just wanted to get us caught up on some of the news of the day and what is going on in our crazy, wacky world. And the first thing on my mind today would be the Colin Kaepernick Nike situation. And I was fortunate to start recording this podcast when I saw the news break last night of this. So I thought I would weigh in on that and give my thoughts and feelings and opinions. After all, that's why you're here. So here we go. So if you haven't heard already, Colin Kaepernick made the news yet again, and Nike released their latest advertisement featuring him. And the advertisement says, "Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything." And it's got a very serious black and white up close of his face. And then, of course, it's got the Nike swoosh and "Just Do It" at the bottom. And I can't for the life of me think why Nike thought this was a good idea. I really can't. I mean, well, I'm assuming if liberals were able to learn from history, we wouldn't have yet another infiltration of socialism. So never mind. I just answered my own question on that. So what is happening in this ad is Nike is attributing Colin Kaepernick's, quote, sacrifice, end quote, to a real sacrifice that people have to make in order to make their beliefs known. And I know it's kind of a right-wing talking point, but at the same time, I can't help but think of people that have really made sacrifices, like veterans and people that have gone before us in history, even people of color that have had real racism, have experienced real adversity, real challenges, people that have not grown up with wealthy white liberal parents. Or I don't know if his parents are liberal. I'm just making assumptions there. But anyway, and I can't help but think what these people would think of this ad. This is not a sacrifice. This guy started dating, a Muslim girlfriend, and because liberals live in a bubble, they have this group hive mind that just whatever the mother brain puts out, the mother socialist brain, they just and just adapt to it, and then they all speak those talking points as well. Now the conspiracy nuts will call it, Operation Mockingbird or whatever, where the media is just repeating the same talking points. I think more so it's just the hive mind speaking, and whatever phrase sounds good, they just repeat. But anyway, I dovetailed. Anyway, getting back to this, Kaepernick is just in his own little cocoon, his own little liberal cocoon, has a lot of money, and gets to make these opinions known in the freest society in the history of the world. But yet he is extremely oppressed. But, I'm not going to rehash the Kaepernick stuff. He's had too much attention, too much time in the news. But I did want to bring up this Nike ad, and I honestly, from a business standpoint, can't understand why Nike would do this. I think what happens in college, even business grads, you get your MBA, you're coming from a liberal university, you still get that liberal hive mind groupthink implanted into your cerebellum no matter what degree you're going for. And so then these people graduate, they go on to business, and then they're sitting in these board meetings and they just have these fantabulous ideas. And another dovetail. Has anybody ever sat in any of these board meetings? I've sat in my share of them, and it's just a collection of people trying to be the smartest person in the room. And I swear it's where the dumbest ideas are born, which may be also a part of this. Anyway, I digress. But instead of sitting in these boardrooms deciding on how to make the company better, they're promoting social justice, which companies shouldn't be doing. Companies should be turning a profit. I'll rewind that even further. I don't think companies should be making any kind of political stance, left or right. I think they should just be a business and turn a profit and try to make a better product. But apparently companies left wing and right wing are making announcements now. I think the right wing response is just, well, that's it, a response to what the left wing has been saying all of this time. So when the left wing companies make some kind of political stance, I don't know, the right wings feel like they need to do so as well. But I wish all of them would stay out of it. But anyway, back to Nike. So I don't know what happened. Somebody just been sitting in a board meeting going, you know what, I think we really need to promote this social justice that is Colin Kaepernick and the supposed police brutality of minorities, which, again, statistically is not the case. But, don't let facts get in the way of good liberal ideology. So I was reading this article by Hot Air. I was going to do my swipe for cancer bit, and this article actually caught my eye. And it was actually a decent article addressing it. But what is interesting about the article, if you see the original tweet that came out, it looks like Kaepernick is being paid by Nike this whole time. I'm just going to go down a little bit in the article. I'll put it in the show notes as well. It's from Hot Air. It says, has Colin Kaepernick been on Nike's payroll all this time? It's by Jazz Shaw, and it's today, September 4th. And so he talks about the announcement, how it's being controversial, like what are these companies doing, yada, yada, yada. Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports later reported that Kaepernick and Nike agreed to a new contract despite the fact Kaepernick has been with the company since 2011. Robinson added that interest from other shoe companies played a part in the new agreement. So if you're just blowing through that, you're not thinking much about it. But then somebody was smart enough to tweet, Nike had been paying Colin Kaepernick all along, waiting for the right moment. That moment is now, as he becomes the face of the company's 30th anniversary of the Just Do It campaign. So really, hypocritically, Colin Kaepernick hasn't sacrificed anything. He's been paid this whole time, and he's still getting paid. But yet he is just so oppressed and so torn apart and has started this movement. On the plus side, though, there have been some great memes already circulating regarding this situation. One of them is just a picture of Kaepernick sitting there, and it says, Kaepernick is the modern day Al Bundy. Sucked at football, and now he has to sell shoes. Damn! And there's been some others that have made like patriotic spins on it, like showing, SEALs or other military personnel that really have paid a sacrifice, some the ultimate sacrifice, and doing their spin that way, and that's been good as well. Anyway, it just makes me sick. I'm just so tired of socialism and liberalism and nanny state tactics. And it's even just permeated in business. It's just everywhere you look now. Liberalism can't work in the marketplace of ideals. The Godfather himself, Limbaugh, has said that before, and it's true. So when they can't win legislatively, which they haven't, they've lost record amount of elections, then they try to do it from the bench. They try to make liberal activist judges. So now, because of Kavanaugh and other Supreme Court appointments, Trump's really helping to overhaul the justice system in that regard. So they're not being able to work from the bench anymore. So then they shift to the culture, and that's what's happening now. So it's an all-pronged attack by liberalism on many different fronts. And so now I think, in my opinion, they have been winning the culture war. There's a lot of Gen Zers, and thank you guys for listening, because I know you're out there, that are listening to this podcast. There's a lot of Gen Zers that are finally starting to reject their parents' liberal ideologies, and they're starting to wake up, thank goodness. And I think we've got a chance now of turning the country around. And a lot of our free thinkers on our side of the movement are just starting to wake up. African Americans are starting to wake up. And I think that conservatives, libertarians, or even just free thinkers are finally seeing what's happening, waking up, and I think we may be able to win this culture war after all. So just some encouragement for you after the stupidity of this Nike release. Now I'm seeing people on Twitter and Instagram, burning their Nike shoes, burning their Nike memorabilia, or collectibles. That's fine if you want to do that. If you want to make a statement, that's fine. You're not hurting Nike. I mean, they already took your money. But if you want to make an effigy of Nike products and burn them, that is certainly your right to do so. I'm kind of on the fence about the whole boycott thing, but I mean, this is the free market, and if a company says or does something dumb, I do think we have the right to vote with our dollars. It is kind of a tactic of the left, but I don't know. At the same time, at this point, I'm tired of being the better person, so to speak. Like the great Bongino was speaking a couple of weeks ago. He's like, the new rules now are we win, you lose. And that's kind of where I've been for a while now. Conservatives, people on the right, libertarians, we're always expected to be the better person, the moral, just person that, is reasonable, even though we're accused of being unreasonable all the time. And I'm frankly just done with that now. I'm ready to start using the left's tactics against them and start calling them out. So vote with your dollars, like it's been said before. And I'm certainly not going to buy a Nike product anymore. And maybe this will finally start waking companies up to not take political stances at all. Just to dial it all back and realize that we are consumers. And if you take a political stance, you are going to alienate half of your potential consumers. I mean, I don't have a business degree, and I know that. It's just, I cannot believe the ignorance of these people. But anyway, on to other things. Since I already swiped and looked at that hot air article, why don't we swipe for cancer? It's been a hot minute since I've done Swipe for Cancer, so let's swipe and see what's going on from our corporately fed news from our Apple iPhones. All right, and here we go. Open up the phone, swiping, here we go. From Politico, Trump blasts Sessions over charges against GOP congressmen ahead of midterms. It's kind of funny that they use this terminology because this kind of does play into the conspiracy theorists' theory on the mockingbird of the media. If you check any, left-leaning article regarding this, they all use the same terminology. Trump blasts Sessions. He's blasting. If you go through and look every article, I challenge you to do so, it'll all be he's blasting. So Trump is blasting Sessions over this. Now, there's a lot of popular theories that are floating around the interwebs right now that Jeff Sessions is like this stealth agent and that he and Trump are having this visible feud just to kind of take away from the fact that there have been 51,000 indictments of people by Jeff Sessions. And that's true, by the way. That really is happening. The only part of that conspiracy theory that I could see would be true is Trump's the president, so he obviously knows what's going on. Unless he has specifically told Sessions, hey, don't tell me what's going on, that way there's no liability. I don't know. He's the executive of the Justice Department. Like, if you look at the executive branch, the president is the head of that. So he can direct it however he wants to direct it. So the right-wing conspiracy theorists will tell you that this is all just a ploy, and that way when Trump finally closes the bear trap on all of these deep state swamp rats, that they will have no recourse because they've been, Sessions has recused himself and Trump didn't know what was going on. So I don't know. The jury is still out on that. That would be nice if that's the case, but as time marches on, we're still not seeing... Well, I don't want to say we're not seeing anything, because like I said, those sealed indictments are a big deal, but we're not seeing any action. Like, we're not actually seeing people go to jail. We're not seeing her locked up. So, and we're getting impatient. So, I don't know. Maybe it's because the midterms are coming up. I don't know. We'll just have to see on that. Anyway, next article. Fireworks as Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearings get underway. The only fireworks are coming from your side of the aisle, lefties. If you would just get out of the way, this would be a much smoother process. Potential Justice Kavanaugh's only crime so far has been wanting to interpret the law. So that's the real crime. He's not going to be an activist. He's actually just going to be a judge that interprets the law. And liberals can't have that. Also in the news, speaking of Kavanaugh, there is some protesting going on. From TMZ today, Brett Kavanaugh protesters say he'll turn our country Gilead. If Brett Kavanaugh watches Handmaid's Tale, he's not going to like the demonstrations outside his Supreme Court confirmation hearings on Capitol Hill. There's literally a picture of these ladies dressed up as handmaids from the Handmaid's Tale protesting him. It's just freaking ridiculous. I mean, it's hilarious, but it's freaking ridiculous. I've never seen The Handmaid's Tale. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it has to do with men and their patriarchy oppressing women in the future. But, oh my gosh. Alyssa Milano started this like back in August at some time, and I guess some other nice ladies have glommed onto that. But, oh my gosh. Freaking hilarious. These people are freaking unhinged.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Exactly. Me too. The left just gets more and more unhinged every day. I mean, it's tragic, it's scary, but it's also hilarious as well. Anyway, Trump has received the most pushback on this Supreme Court nonsense. Well, anything he's wanting to execute or bring forth, because he is a threat to the deep state and he is a threat to the swamp. And we all know this, and this is why we're cheering him on and hoping that he succeeds. Because he's one of the few presidents in modern history that has actually cared about this and is actually making good on his promises. How dare a politician keep their promises that they kept on the campaign trail? The nerve. And the beer fridge has kicked on again. It's a happy beer fridge. There's still one beer in there, so that's good. So apologies if you hear the beer fridge humming in the background. It'll go off eventually. And just like clockwork, there it goes. I was told by one of my listeners that they can't hear the beer fridge, and they're not sure what I'm talking about. It's there. You either have to be listening from headphones or possibly in your car. If you're just listening with your phone speaker, you won't hear it. And as far as you can tell, it's just a professional studio. But I appreciate it. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for me today. I just wanted to get that particular thing addressed, and then I will be back next week for another fun-filled episode of Publitarian Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. You can find me at Publitarian on any of the social media platforms. I'm on Convo, I'm on Minds, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Gab.ai, Instagram, obviously. I am on Facebook, but I don't really post on there a whole lot. I try to stay off of Facebook, but I am on there. And if you need to get in contact with me, you can either DM me on Instagram, or you can contact me publitarian@gmail.com or thepublitarian@gmail.com. I check them both. I had to create a second one for my Instagram so I could track insights and whatnot. It's a long story, but anyway, I digress. Have yourself a great rest of the week, and I will see you guys next time here on Publitarian Podcast.
Listening to Publitarian Podcast. Copyright 2018.